One of the things that I think is most missing in the spiritual community is social skills. Now, when I say social skills, I'm not talking about you being a yapper or being somebody who just goes out and meets all sorts of people and surrounds themselves with all kinds of low vibrational, like frequencies. No, when I say social skills, I'm talking about the fundamental principles that are underlying within every single social interaction. Whether this comes down to speaking to people, whether that's speaking to strangers, whether that comes down to listening to people, or even just sales. You know what I mean? Sales. All this stuff, this is stuff that can help you in every aspect of your life. You need to become more social. So I see a lot of spiritual people, and it was also me for a long time. When I started my spiritual journey, when I got my most recent spiritual awakening, this is right after I had started learning about social skills, about just a few months back. And when I learned about social skills, I was talking to a lot of people. But when I went through my most recent spiritual awakening, I stopped speaking to so many people. Why? Because I was trying to maintain my energy and to keep my energy to myself and to focus on myself and to avoid people from bringing all sorts of, negative vibes or anything like that into my life. So, of course, it has its good side to it, right? You might think, yeah, that's a good thing. Of course, it's good to stay out of people's businesses and, maintain your energy by not, being too social. But that's where you go wrong, right? Because we were not put on this planet to live by ourselves. I want you to understand that all your manifestations, all the things that you deep down desire, all the things that you want, mind you, all these things involve people. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. I even look at the sun for a while. Just look at that sun. Look at the sun. Wait, I don't think you can see the sun. But let it sink in. All the things that you want, all the things that you're working towards, all your plans, all your dreams, they involve people. So you thinking that just because you're spiritual, quote unquote spiritual, or you're somebody who is enlightened, and you're somebody who actually takes care of themselves and their mental health and their health and everything, their physical health, you might think that you're supposed to avoid people, right? But you're not. You're actually supposed to interact with people. You're supposed to learn how to interact with people and understand how people behave in social dynamics, different social dynamics. And all of this comes from putting in the reps, going out and practicing. I have a whole social skills channel that I was running just a few months back. You can go and check it out. I don't know, I think I'm going to link it down in the description or put a card up here, something like that. But you can go and see if you really, 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 really want to know how to level up your social skills and become a more confident person. But I'm talking about the other side of the spectrum where you're like, nah. For me, I'm an introvert. I like to spend time with myself and focus on myself for my growth and all that. Bro, we get it. We understand. We understand because we all have to grow. Everybody's going through this, but you isolating yourself is more of a selfish thing than it is for your own growth. If you really think about it, it's very selfish. It's very selfish. So this brings us down to one question. How can I maintain being social and also being the spiritual guy, or you also being the enlightened being? How can you do this? First of all, boundaries. Boundaries. Not riz, but boundaries. Boundaries are the thing that has helped me in this transition from being a spiritual introvert into somebody who is integrated. I would like to think of myself as integrated. I'm not just somebody who is just social, and I'm also not somebody who's just spiritual. I'm not somebody who just focuses on fitness. I'm a bit integrated. I'm like all round. You know what I mean? So me being somebody who is spiritual, it's very important that I learn how to be more social. Right? So throughout the journey, throughout my transition of becoming more spiritual, then I had to learn how to become social again. But this time with a few changes. What are these changes? Like I said, the boundaries. When it comes down to the boundaries, I started learning how to say no. Trust me, my whole life I grew up feeling like saying no felt like you're rejecting someone, because I also didn't like being said no to. But when I changed my relationship with rejection, and I realized that a rejection is just an acceptance from a different angle, from a different perspective. It's you being accepted into something else. I left, worrying about rejection. And when I learned that you don't need to worry about rejection, that means you shouldn't even worry about rejecting others. So it's not necessarily rejection. It's more of you setting boundaries for your own peace of mind. So I learned how to say no. Saying no changed my life. I literally have a video I just made about that. Saying no literally changed my life. Then the next thing I also do now, in terms of social skills, while I am now moving through with this, let me say, higher consciousness. I don't want to gloat and put myself up there. No. But now, like, moving through social situations and dynamics with this kind of spiritual mindset, the next thing that I do is I avoid touching people. Yeah, I avoid touching people. It's nice to dap up people. It's nice to hug your boys. But I want you to avoid touching strangers. You see, touching is a very good way of energy transfer. It's a very, very good way for you to transfer whatever you're going through into somebody else and whatever they're going through into you. Think of it in terms of frequency. Just touch. Because think about this. Their frequency also resides within their biofield, right? Your frequency also resides within your biofield. So when two biofields interact with each other, by biofields, I'm talking about like your electromagnetic field, around your body, your quote-unquote aura. When two biofields interact with each other, what happens is an exchange in energy. It's kind of like a circuit. Now you've closed the circuit, and now energy is flowing around. So if that person is carrying some parasite or something on the spiritual plane, on the mental plane, something up here in their subconscious mind, whether it's a belief, a thought, an emotion, anything, it will be transferred to you through touch. So be careful who touches you and be careful who you touch. That's very, very important. Now, I feel like those are the main things. Those are the main things that have really changed for me. Also, a very important one, this is a bonus one, right? That I'm going to throw in for extra points, is you controlling the frame. Now, the problem with spiritual people, and one thing that, just me, judging off me and what I've seen in other spiritual people, is usually they fear to get into relationships, conversations, interactions, social interactions, because they fear that they'll be jumping into someone else's matrix. They'll be jumping into a new matrix, like a new frame. You know what I mean? Like now you have to fit into the dynamics of that group. No. I want you to start moving through life with that kind of mindset that you control the frame. Now that's something that has helped me so much. Now I have no fear of getting into social situations. I have no fear of expressing myself, communicating clearly, because I feel like I am in control of the frame. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I have the frame like down. I'm not going to worry that someone's going to call me names, or someone's going to say something that I'm not comfortable with, or someone's going to call out something that I was trying to hide. No. And because I have the frame, that means I control the atmosphere in the room. Whether I walk into a new room or this is an old room, I control that atmosphere. And having the fact that I control that atmosphere makes me feel more comfortable. Now, you need to know the difference between control, like controlling the frame, and being controlling. I'm not saying that you should go around trying to change everyone to match your vibe and match your energy and try to, control the room, control the energy. No. By controlling your frame, I mean, whenever you enter a situation, let me say you enter a conversation, you don't let it go in any way that you wouldn't want it to go. And just having boundaries is one way of controlling your frame. So you don't let it go any way that you wouldn't want it to go. You steer it in the direction that you want. It just comes from a decision. It's just a decision. So those are just a few things. Having boundaries, not touching everyone, and controlling the frame. Those are a few things that have helped me navigate my social life as somebody who has gone through a spiritual awakening, as somebody who has realized that they're chosen. And I like the fact that you're actually listening to this. This actually makes me happy, because that means that you are also somebody who is chosen by God to get this kind of message. Because why would you just be listening to me? You feel me? So just to lock in the fact that you're chosen, hit me up, bro. Hit me up, DM me on IG, Instagram, wherever you can reach me at the moment. I'm gonna put like a link in the description, maybe something like that. Just hit me up. Let's talk about chosen people stuff. You know what I mean? Navigating social life, navigating dating, navigating fitness, navigating business, all these things that involve growth, right? In a spiritual way, in a way that honors God. All right? So hit me up, man. But anyways, man, it's all love, bro. Peace.